Good morning. Welcome back. Another day to Stories with Pastor Macy. Today we have some special stories because there is a very special boy who has a birthday today. Philip is turning 4 years old and he can't have a party because of the virus and everything. So I know they're doing things at home to make Philip's birthday special. But I have two stories I wanted to read. One is the story of King David, which is Philip's favorite Bible story. And then I thought we would read the first chapter out of the book, Philip, the Traveling Evangelist. And then after that, I have a little object lesson. And if you want to do it with me, you'll need water and sharpened pencils and a Ziploc bag. So we're going to go ahead and start with the story of King David. There are 7 big brothers. There is one little brother. His name is David. You can take care of the sheep because I will be king, says the big brother. See Blackie, see Curly. They like to play. Oh no, look. Be careful, Blackie. Oh no, a big bear. Oh no, Blackie. Oh no, Curly. David took a stone and a sling. Zip went the sling. Zing went the stone. The bear went away, but the giant came. Zip went the sling. Zing went the stone. I am here to pick a king for God, said Samuel. These are my 7 big sons. One by one, no king, no, not one. Are there any more sons? Asked Samuel. I have one little son, said father. He takes care of the sheep. This is the one, said Samuel. He will be king. With God, I can do anything, said David. With God, I can be king. David was the little son, but with God, David was the big son. David is the king. The end. There is our story about King David. So our next story is about Philip, the Traveling Evangelist. It is from the Bible Learn series, which is published by the Baptist publisher Broadman Press in 1978, but this is a special edition for the Pacific Press. And we are going to read, it's a chapter book. We're going to read the first chapter about young Philip. But before we do that, I want to read a little note that comes at the end of the story. This story is a maybe story. Maybe it happened, but our Bible does not give us the story of Philip's early life. The Bible does give us some important facts about Philip. These facts are included in the maybe story. So we're going to read the maybe story about young Philip. All right. Everyone was busy. There was excitement at Philip's house. Philip's family was getting ready to go to Jerusalem. It was that special time of year when Philip and his family went to the beautiful city of Jerusalem for Passover. Hurry, Mother, hurry, Philip called. Let's get started. Have you packed your clothes and finished those other jobs I gave you to do? Mother asked Philip. Philip began to think, yes, I've packed my clothes, rolled up and tied my sleeping mat, and filled all the water skins with water. And I also carefully put my gold coins in my small leather pouch. Yes, Mother, I've done everything you asked me to, answered Philip. "Thank you, Philip. You're a good worker," said Mother proudly. "I needed a good helper like you today." Remembering the shiny coins in his money pouch, Philip began to think of how special those coins were to him. He had earned the money helping his father in the marketplace. Philip's father was a merchant. Philip had kept the family shop clean and straightened up the various goods. He also watched for thieves who might steal their merchandise. Philip was beginning to understand how important money was and how hard it was to earn. Philip had saved the coins for this special trip. Perhaps he could give one to the offering for the poor at the temple service. He wanted to buy a gift for his mother, too. And if there was anything left, maybe a surprise for himself. "Come on, Philip, let's go," Father called. Philip quickly gathered up his bundles and ran outside to join the others for the journey. Philip and his family, though they were Jews, did not live in Palestine. They lived in an area where there were many Greeks and other groups of people. Philip's friends were both Greeks and Jews. Each of them was special, and Philip grew to love them very much. Because Philip and his family were so much a part of the Greek community, they grew to be different from the Jews in Palestine. Often in Jerusalem, Jews from the Greek community were called Hellenists, which is a word that means Greeks. They were called Hellenists because they could speak the Greek language as well as the Aramaic language. They acted like Greek people in many ways. This made some of the Jews in Palestine very unhappy. They felt that the Hellenists were not being true to the teachings of Moses. The strict Jewish leaders taught that it was wrong to make friends with people who weren't Jews. This was difficult for Philip to understand. Each Sabbath, however, Philip and his family faithfully attended synagogue. His father read faithfully from the law and the prophets. Philip was carefully trained in the synagogue school. He learned to read aloud from the Hebrew scrolls, and he memorized special verses. Some of his favorite readings were from the book of Isaiah, where the prophet told of the coming Messiah. Every night at the evening meal, Philip's father prayed that the Messiah might come soon. So this is the first chapter of Philip, the traveling evangelist, and it's a maybe story. Maybe it happened, but the Bible doesn't give us the story of Philip's early life. But it does give us some facts about Philip, and those are included in the story. And those facts are things like Philip learned to speak Greek as a young boy, as well as Aramaic, which is the language of the Jews in Palestine. And Philip attended a synagogue school, and he loved all kinds of people. And Philip learned about work and the use of money. Everyone is special to God, and you are special to God too. Now, we read there that Philip's father probably read from the Jewish scriptures every day. And so I have a verse I want to share with you from our scriptures, from the book of Ephesians. Be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. So we are going to do a little object lesson about courage and strength in God. So I have a Ziploc bag, and I have some sharpened pencils, and I have a pitcher of water and, of course, a dish towel, because anytime there's water, there might be a mess. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill up our baggie with water. All right, maybe a little more. We do want to leave some space at the top so we can zip it up. That's important. We read the story of David and how David fought a lion and a bear to save the sheep. And do you remember the sheep's names? We had Curly, who was a little white curly sheep. And then we had Blackie, who was a little black curly sheep. And that story tells us how brave and courageous King David was, even when he was tending the sheep. Even before the story of David and Goliath, he was courageous. And God can help us be courageous. So we have our sandwich bag filled with water. And that's kind of like us and like the world. And there are times when we need to have courage. Hopefully, there are no bears and no lions and no wolves in your life like there were in David's life. But there are other things that take courage, like going somewhere in the dark or doing something we've never done for the first time or going to a new school. Those are things that take courage. They're things that scare us. There's other things we worry about. And so when we have worries, they kind of tend to poke holes in us. Now, if I take this pencil and just poke a hole in my bag, what's going to happen? Is it going to leak? Well, here's the thing. God helps us with the things that we're worried about. And so with God's help, even the scary things don't make us leak. It doesn't matter what it is, God will help us, and we can be courageous even when things seem really scary. He will protect us and make sure that we are okay in the midst of scary things. So remember our verse from Ephesians, be strong and courageous. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power, and he will help us get through scary things without leaking. Thank you so much for joining Stories with Pastor Macy today. And Philip, I hope that you have a wonderful birthday. I'm sorry that you can't have a party, and I so wish that I was there with you today. Let's remember our friends Marilyn and Ryan and Irma in prayer today. Thank you so much for joining me for Stories with Pastor Macy. I'll see you tomorrow.